Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. So first off, hello, you can see me for the first time on the stream. Usually that camera is reserved for the cat cam, but since we're not got a painting palette out for this just for doing the basin, then I thought we'd do a bit different and you can see me and look at my concentrating face. I think I accidentally pressed the wrong button while we were in the stream there, so I think a couple of lucky viewers got to see me just stare into the void because I didn't realise I'm out of stream. So if that happened, that's why I asked, was I on the stream there? But no one answered, so they'll take that to their grave. So yeah, today we are going to be doing basin. It's going to be a basin way that I have not tried before, so I'm looking forward to trying it, using a couple of new things that I've not used before, so the main one being coconut fibre. But we will be basing the Beastmen, so if I pan this camera out, here's what we'll be basing today. We have not all of the Beastmen, but a good amount of the Beastmen. So, because we'll be waiting for PVA glue to dry, and because I'm using coconut fibre, which is a wee bit damp in itself, I'm going to be doing a huge production line, because I think it will take ages to dry. So I have pretty much everything that I will be using today. I may or may not use everything today. I might do a couple of them and realise I don't like the way that looks, so yeah. We have PVA glue, We've got cork that I'll break up if I want to make little rocks and stuff. I'm not going to do any of my bigger models because I want to see how the majority of the small stuff looks, and then maybe in a second session I'll do a part 2 which will be making more dioramas for some of the bigger guys. So I've got like my count as Gorgon, and here's him in his base. So he's quite a small model for how big that base is, so he's going to need some proper good base work to do it. So I'm not going to do that on stream. If I get, I'll play about with the different stuff that I've got here, and see how that looks. There you go, there's a nice armpit for you. Seafire, how you doing? Yeah, I usually have Streamlabs in transition mode, so I pick like the next, so like, you know, where it says starting, I'll then click on like this screen that will come up with this, but I have to press another button that will transition between it. But I didn't have the kind of transition mode up, so I think I accidentally just went to this screen and it was just me sitting like this, just staring at the screen. Not even staring at the screen, just staring into nothingness. So and there was a couple of viewers online, so they got to just come in, be like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then they left. So I don't blame them. I'd probably log in and be like, are you okay, mate? Yeah, you're looking like you're struggling. So if we have enough of my face, if it's just me looking down at my hands and just doing stuff, we can switch to the cat cam. He's in the background there. You can see him there. He's just chilling. But yeah, so let's talk a bit about what I've got here. First off, this whole pile of mud. So this is coconut fibre, which looks like mud, and it basically is mud. And that's going to be like the base of the bases. I'm going to put that. So I quite like how it's got, well, the actual coconut fibres and stuff. It looks like tree roots, and it's it is quite soilish. Being soil, it tends to do that. Yeah, so that's pretty much going to go down. So I'm going to PVA and put that down. I think that will take a while to dry, which is why I'm probably going to production line so many models. Plus, it's basing. You want to spam them out. So it's going to be relatively chill. We can just chat about random stuff while working our way through that. So this is Stuff's Dead Cheap. I think I got it I think I just googled coconut fibre and I ended up buying it off a site that uses it for like snake terrariums, snake tanks. All the reviews are like, yeah, it smells great and my snake loves it, and I was like, I'll leave a review saying it looks really good in my models, just to confuse them, or it looks really bad in my models, 1 star, and everyone will be like, what's this guy on? So yeah, this is going to be the experiment. Never used it before. I haven't even done a test model for the stream, which smart people would do. So yeah. As I said, cork for making little rocks and stuff. I have actual little rocks, and then these are just your usual kind of. We've got like dried grass to add a bit of texture. So after the base is done, I'll maybe use a bit of this. We've got like some little kind of Green Stuff World natural leaf litter. So my Green Stuff World order came today, which is why we're doing this. So it's just like little tiny leaves, dried leaves. So maybe make little patches of leaves or whatever. I've just got some little grassy clumps. Can't go wrong with tufts. You need tufts for days. So yeah, it's not going to be anything. I don't think it's going to be anything too technical, nothing too exciting. But hopefully we get good results. I've also got pigment powders here, so depending if this is looking a bit monotoned, or even if it's looking lots of different types of tones on it, I maybe use some powders in it, which is old rust and burnt umber, and putting that just on the base might actually make it look a bit it puts a bit more colour into it. So we're kind of going for that autumn vibe. So yeah, so I think what I'll do is we'll kick off with the big guys that we have seen many times now in the stream. I haven't actually done any more painting of these. I've been playing a bit of Vermintide, so I had a wee break over the weekend, and work's been quite busy, so I haven't actually done any more painting. But yeah, how you doing, Seafire? You all right? One of my little hydration sheets just to put the PVA on, just so I can control how much is going on, how much I'm spreading it about. This is from Game Stuff World as well, but it's just PVA glue. You could pretty much use any PVA glue, I'm sure. Sometimes the really cheap stuff's a bit watery and not great, but even still, if it's watery and crap, you can get them for like £1 or £2 and they do the job, even if it just takes 2 coats. Maybe I shouldn't use my big guy, my best guy, testing this stuff out for the first time, but balls deep. So I've got, this is basically my PVA glue brush. There's literally no life in it at all. It's actually pretty solid. Actually just be, because these are quite big models, without too much chance of me actually getting glue on the model itself, I could just put the PVA glue straight into the base. Oh nice, new spray, always fun. Stream looking a lot better with the camera being a little bit bigger. Yeah, I mean this is now my mobile phone that I'm using for the camera. I bought, obviously in the first couple of streams, I kind of had these document cameras. I had basically the first document camera I had was quite a cheap one. I think it cost me about £40. And then I got, it was okay, it wasn't great, obviously it really struggled to focus on stuff, and then I got a more expensive £90 one, which was a bit better, but it still had the exact same focusing problems, so I ended up returning the £90 odd one, and the wee £40 one is the one that does my my palette cam. It doesn't need to focus on too much, it's just looking at paints, it's not moving and stuff. I think kind of down the road, maybe if this picks up a bit, I'll get like a proper DSLR camera. I think they're pretty much supposed to be the best, but this is my mobile phone, does alright. It focuses a lot better, you can see the models a lot better, so yeah. I just can't sit on my phone while on stream, which I suppose is another advantage. Move these two guys out of the way, so let's make a mess with this. I'm just going to throw it on. There's a couple of little lumps in this, but I'll just break them up. If I get big sticks like that, I can either fold them over or just ended up cutting them down so they're not quite as protruding. What I'll do is I'm putting it on quite lightly and then I'll push it down once I've kind of got a good coverage. And you definitely want to make sure you don't get any PVA glue on your model, otherwise you'll have bits of this stuff sticking to your actual model that you've spent ages painting. Okay, I am making an absolute mess here. Now I'm just going to press it down. Try not to press in a direction so it's not creating gaps, but I'm just pressing down. Try and get under his foot here. Under his cloak's a bit more difficult. You probably could do this the model off the base, and in fact that might be a smarter idea. So I think what I'll do with my really big models is build the base, and I'll use the model as like obviously like bringing it back onto the base just to see what I'm building and stuff, but I think it might be a lot easier to build with this stuff because obviously it's quite bulky compared to just like putting sand and stuff on the base. So what I'm going to do is going to give it a shake to get the stuff that hasn't really stuck on anything, and I'm going to try and clean up the edges a bit as well. So now I'm going to kind of put my finger on the edge like this, and then just kind of roll on the top, and that'll kind of push it onto the base so we've not got lots of overhang. Okay, let's get all this mud off my hands. I'll just wipe it on the floor, hoover after. And another little push down. Because this stuff's quite light as well, you could probably put like footprints and stuff in it. I'm just using the other side of my brush to push down through the gaps that my fingers are too fat to get in. Let's try giving it a little steam roll. Just a light one. I really like the way this stuff looks. Whether or not it will actually be suitable basing material is another question entirely. Yeah, I was the same, Seafire. Obviously I bought like kind of dedicated cameras thinking like the document cameras were recommended in a few YouTube videos. Phones were like, yeah, they're good because the camera's really good, but people had said they had issues with them and stuff, so that's why I didn't do it initially. But it's like, I'll try the camera. I've just bought like a little £10 boom arm, and it seems great. And I think this will probably be what keeps me going until I can get a proper good camera. Maybe spend a couple of £100 on, well, it's not going to be the in-game camera, is it? Because they're thousands and stuff, but maybe one that can just hold a good lens or whatever. But so that's that base. It's got good texture in it for like that. You got the roots and stuff. I'm really pleased with that, how that comes out. Maybe it takes a bit longer to base than just covering it in PVA glue and pouring sand on top and going for it, but let's keep him back there and see how he does. Let's get our next target. There's a couple of little holes in this one. I think these are my scarab bases that I stole, so I should be able to just clog that with PVA glue and go for it. Let's try this way. Let's try being lazy. Go up there. Up there. Faster to spread it on that way. Just putting a little blob on the base when it's a bit bigger. Okay, as long as you're not touching the model, because otherwise that bit of model will be covered in dirt, and I don't really see an easy way of getting it off. I'm actually going to switch to my slightly less damaged throwaway brush, so I can get in here and spread it alright. What is it you're spraying in tonight? Is it more stormtroopers or clone troopers? I'm just getting a kind of fat blob and just kind of covering the wee holes. There we go for round two. Let's try the kind kind of old school way if it was sand. You just kind of spread it on like this. There is like some bigger bits, like almost like a tree root and stuff. I could keep that for some of the bigger base models again. Just some of that more natural. Fallen nature stuff, you know. Pulling it off the edges where it's overlapped a bit. The back of the brush to push down, because in here it's just a big clump under the model. Definitely need to give them a shot, painting them. Hello, thank you. Food has arrived. Definitely need to get, if I get 50 followers, get McDonald's emotes, won't I? Since I'm bloody all I eat. At least it's all I eat when I'm on stream. I think the last one I had was on stream as well. Which is probably too many McDonald's, but there's another one done. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to have something to eat, so I will set up just a little intermission screen. Eat some food and then get straight back to it. That's a live cat as well, by the way. That's not just a random video or photo. You'll be able to tell when he kicks the camera away. Should I leave it as a Dextercam when I go back to the painting or the basin, rather than looking at my ugly mug? I think when I'm doing the basin, you're probably just seeing the kind of top of my head anyway when I'm looking down. I suppose I could set it up to show both. It's just the one webcam I've got, so that's pretty much just move the camera. But I wonder if the little document camera that I usually use for the palette, I could record Dexter. I think this might take me quite a while just to even get the first stage of bases done in all my models. There's a lot of them. Almost finished, guys. Alright. Back to it. We'll leave Dexter up on the screen just now, I think. It's probably better than the top of my head. But if you want it switched back to the top of my head, just let me know. So we're just going to start now. In fact, I'm going to go back to this guy and clean up the edges a little bit. Having quite having edges that are quite sudden really does help the model look good when you've kind of got it hanging over the edge and stuff. It doesn't quite look as good. So you can either kind of move your finger around to try and get it off, or kind of roll it over to push it in to the glue. I actually know much about the lore of the Beastmen and kind of Age of Sigmar and stuff. I used to, like 40k lore, I'm pretty clued up on for the most part. I suppose up until the point where I was away from the hobby for a couple of years, but 40k lore never changes. Well, it changes like once an edition, they add slightly more to it, but the kind of fantasy was I kind of got as well, the old fantasy, but Age of Sigmar I never really kept up with that, so I need to learn about my army and see why they're so rocking. once the PVA kind of dries in and the soil's a bit more solid, probably by the time we go back to the model to do the next one, then we can go back and clean up again, even if it is dry. So let's try some of the wee smaller guys that we were doing, the little jackals that we did. Don't think I'm going to try and put the blob in the base with these just because they're a lot smaller. And there always is the kind of question of, well, it is easier to do the basing when the model's not on the base, which I entirely agree with, but it's also easier to paint the model when it's on its base. In a perfect world, when you do everything in the perfect order, it'll be fine and much easier, but I just do it. I just do what I want. I make things hard for myself. What's the point in life if you can't just make things hard for yourself and then complain about how hard it is? Side that's done, and I'll just move them back and forth. It's probably the easiest way of doing it. Painted the garden fence on my lunch break, and now painting models in my free time. I just love painting. It seems. Well, this is more basing, I suppose. Maybe that's why I'm not painting today. I've done enough for one day. Basin certainly does make a mess. But we wouldn't be in this hobby if we wanted to be tidy, would we? Throwing it on, pushing it down, moving on to the next model. That's pretty much the plan. Obviously cleaning up the sides a little bit so it's not going everywhere like it is in this one. And this coconut fibre came in a 2.5 litre bag, so there's plenty of it. Oh, it's our wee one-legged friend. He's back. I'm back, baby. And that'll make it easier to do this base as well. Alright, so that's them done. That's pretty much all the guys that we've painted so far, so there isn't We haven't painted a whole lot yet, but because it's been mostly guides, so we'll go back to the first guy, let's give him a tap, get any extra stuff off. So whatever's left, we know is glued. Yeah, that's looking alright, I'm quite happy with that, I'm quite happy with that. So next up, I'm going to use, I'm not quite sure where I got this one from, I think it's Green Stuff World as well, but it's definitely looks smokable, but unfortunately it's not. So I'm going to put a bit of this down, so this is going to be a bit of, add a bit of colour, variety to the base. Okay, it's going to be harder just to spread the PVA on top of the soil rather than trying to, because obviously the soil's trying to move with the PVA. This may not be working. Let's make a little swamp of PVA and soil. Crappy. Cover it as you do with all mistakes in the hobby. Covered with stuff. Press down. Little tap root. Is it's not quite dry yet, the PVA on the bottom, so I'm doing this a bit too soon. I might need to production line a few more of the guys. We can do that. I'm going to put a little rock on. Just kind of moving it around to see where I quite like it. I think I would slightly to the side, almost like he's launching with this foot. So how about here? I think here would be a good spot. So for the stone, I'm going to super glue it. Look at that glorious mess. Got to love basin. I'm going to push quite hard down. Let's try some of these natural leaf litters. This one I'm just kind of trying a wee bit of everything on. No idea how it's going to turn out, whether it'll look good, whether it'll look bad. I would highly recommend not using your leader to test stuff on. But that's why I make the mistakes, so you don't have to. But we'll see what we like, what we don't like, and then we can just start moving that across to the different models. so we've got kind of this blank half here. I think I want to put another rock there and a tuff. Maybe a couple of smaller rocks around a tuff. Let's try that. Super glue my tuff as well, so these usually come quite sticky as well, but I find just giving them super glue just to make sure that they stick's the way to go. Just press it down quite hard. I do like tuffs because it adds a bit of 3D to the model. It's just very rarely that flat. Okay, so find a flat end of my little rock. Bit of glue on it. Just going to press that down against the tuff. Doesn't feel like it's one to stick. No. Okay, it is. I lied. Some interesting parts in this mud as well, see if there's anything we want to put in. There's that little kind of tree trunk bit. I think that would look quite good lying across here. Almost looks like he's trying to jump over it while smashing the enemy in, so I'm going to push it just to get it a wee bit flat on one side. Super glue it. PVA would probably work here as well, but I'm going to use super glue because I do what I want. And then press down. There we go. So we've got a bit of a mix match of stuff on this. I'm quite happy with it. What we'll end up doing is using the weathering powder to try and get it a bit more matched, but we're going to leave that for a little while to dry. I'm quite happy with how that's looking. Probably should have waited longer for the coconut fibre to dry on with the PVA, so I'm not going to go and do what I've done here on the other models. I'm going to use more coconut fibre on more models. But you can sit there as a testament to what we're working towards. And I'll tidy up a little bit as well, because I might be on camera or something. If you were using that corkboard for the rocks, like you just kind of tear it, and then the flat side would be where you would glue it, and then you kind of you'd tear this in half, and then you'd get a nice rocky looking thing, and then you'd just paint over it. Okay. Because I'm kind of doing a forest floor, I'm just going to put all this together. Boom. Then go into the base mixed up with other stuff, because they're all going to be mixed up together anyway. The Hoover will definitely be coming out after the stream, because I also have to work at this desk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, this will be the third of our Bulgars. That's these guys that we've painted, so I'll need to paint the third one of him, so I may as well do him and try and keep the squads as I'm painting the squads. So have some PVA glue. Have all the PVA glue. is dripping out the little holes that were on the base, so I need to be careful that the PV glue that's dripped onto my hand doesn't touch the model. It's going to be my Beast Lord. Probably one of the few models in this army that's a big dude on a slightly smaller base, but he looked cool. I think this one's going to be a wee bit more difficult just because the shield. I don't think many people do basing, not as many as should. I find it quite relaxing. I mean, it's not got, you don't need the concentration of painting. You see a lot of people paint their models and they'll get really good painted models, but then they've not got the base painted or base based, so to speak. And yeah, it just still looks like an incomplete model, whereas actually really doesn't take. It's not even half the time, but it's like a fraction of the time. Got a very blue base because it was one that was on one of my ultramarines when I was spraying my ultramarines. You'll see it, you might see in a couple of my videos, there's just a random very blue base or a random base, and it's just because I repurpose them generally. So it's a little Jackal standard bearer. He's even comes with a little rock on his base. Remember to use an old brush if you're using a brush to move the PV around. For obvious reasons, when it dries, your brush will no longer be a brush. Closer to a shank. kind of see how I do production lines. I'm picking them up from the left hand side. Yeah. Oh god, so many models. And then I'm just moving them over to that side over there. And they'll just kind of. And then once I get to the next stage, once I've kind of finished doing the coconut fibre, I keep going to say coconut oil, I'll just start picking them up from the right side and moving them over to the left. Oh, let me put this camera back. Dexter's turned his back to the camera. There we are. Not quite as handsome as the cat, but I'll do. It's quite relaxing, just chilling with the music in the background as well, isn't it? No accuracy. No. Eagle-eyed focus to and no painting eyeballs. Thank God. So generally, like when I'm like, I kind of feel like doing a bit of hobby, but I cannot be bothered. It's usually I can't be bothered focusing for 3-4 hours painting. So then I'll either do building or basing or terrain. Terrain's a really good one as well, just for kind of chilling out. Where you're like, I just want to put paint on a model, but I can't really be bothered. Like, I'm not. You don't have to be too accurate. I mean, mistakes and stuff. I mean, how often do you see nice painted terrain outside like a gaming store and stuff? A lot of people with their home stuff, even if they have like proper terrain, it's not usually painted, so it's nice just to put some paint on some of that when you just can't be bothered. So maybe at one point as well we can paint some terrain and see how it goes. But I don't have much of Age of Sigmar terrain actually. I've got a really nice 40k board where most of the terrain's painted, half the board's painted, and plus I've got a couple of game mats as well which are really good, but I've got quite a lot of 40k terrain because I used to play a lot of that with my Ultramarines. But Age of Sigmar terrain's something that I'll need to get some of. And I always feel like Age of Sigmar terrain feels a bit more, a I'm not sure what to buy for it, because like with 40k, when you see a table, you think like, okay, ruined buildings, you put them everywhere. You can put ruined statues or craters or whatever, and then you've got like the kind of bits of the, is it like the containers and the little barrels and stuff like that? You just throw them everywhere. Whereas for Age of Sigmar, all I can really think of is trees and like homemade hills and stuff like that. So I've not looked into it. I'm sure there's loads of terrain for it, and I'm sure you will be shouting at the screen telling me what you're talking about. Zuko, you're an absolute madman. Get off your own stream, and I'll be like, okay. But yeah, I'll need to have a look into it and stuff. But again, terrain's also one of those things where I could buy more models from my army, or I could buy terrain, and you always go for more models, don't you? Oh, nice one. Yeah, just good progress. I did a bit on the, I don't know if you've seen the stuff that I did on the big guy. I just kind of threw a bit of everything on him just to see how it looks. But the glue was still a bit wet, so I decided just to go back to doing ruined houses and stuff. Ah, that's cool. I need to look into them. I could quite like painting them. It's also quite cool, like where the edge of the ruined part is, like where the house is coming down and stuff, getting an airbrush and just kind of spraying like a dark brown or a black, and it looks like that's where it's been burned away and stuff. Definitely making a progress, making a mess though. You haven't done any hobby if you've not made a mess. You ever done that thing where you're like just painting through a model and you're just kind of pulling out the paints as you need them, and then you're like, ah, that's enough for tonight, and you got to tidy up, and you're like, there's no way I used all those paints, and there's like pure 30 paints just all lying there, and you're like, oh, god damn it. I used to have really good paint storage and stuff. It was like that kind of laser cut MDF. Again, stored it in my garage over a couple of winters. It did not survive that, but that was really good. I really enjoyed that. You do need quite a big desk for it though, or at least a way to mount them or whatever. This one would be quite nice just because it's like 1 foot touching the base, like having that foot be on a rock or something. A little raised stump. But for now we'll just do the base. Can always pull it off, and I like to use super glue to put the models on the bases. With super glue you can kind of just snap them off as long as the bits aren't too delicate. Whereas plastic glue, really, they're pretty much stuck there. You'll be breaking something if you're trying to get it off usually. Because super glue is just pretty much is a hard bit that kind of sticks both sides together, whereas the plastic glue melds the plastic together, so it's almost like one bit. I think I'll do these 10 harpies on stream with this one, and then we'll go back to our big guy, see how he's drying off, and see what we can do to make him look a bit the next stages. To just get in and around the model to push down the mark. I took this route out, but I kind of like it. Yeah. More squishy. overhead lighting really makes me look like I'm either evil or just properly frowning. It's just my big forehead blocking out the light from my eyes. As long as you can see the models. That's the important thing. More harpies. So if you quite like the way that we're doing the base and you're watching this, but maybe not quite, maybe you need to order some of the things or whatever. Video stays on Twitch for 14 days, but after that I'll also upload them to YouTube, so if you ever want to catch up on anything YouTube, I don't edit them or anything, it's more just to archive them, so if you see anything you're like, oh, I'd quite like to try that at some point, you'll be able to find the videos on YouTube. At the same time, if you see this video on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we have a Discord as well, just if you want to come on and chat about models and stuff like that, always happy to have a wee chat either on Discord or on the Twitch channel. So we kind of pretty much done with the coconut fibre. Well, at least for now. a lot more models to do. You can sit right there. So let's have another look at this guy. See how the base is coming along. Seems to have dried up quite nicely. So I think what I want to do now is try some of the weathering powder. I'm going to try some of this old rust. And I'm going to use give me a second to get a brush. I'm just going to try using an old medium dry brush. It won't be doing much dry brushing anymore. This is stuff I usually put in the bottom of my tanks and stuff, and then seal it with like purity seal or a matte varnish or whatever you're wanting to go for. Never tried this just on a base, so we all know I like to experiment. This is just to add another kind of bit of texture to the model. Guess that rock came off. Kind of, it seems to have. So we'll glue that back in. And I could even put some of this kind of rust stuff on the model if I wanted to as well, but I'll wait just now and get more of them painted before I decide to make a kind of major choice to start weathering the models. Okay, I'm going to use some of the burnt umber as well. So these are just the Vallejo pigments, burnt umber, and the other one, the first one I used was old rust. The burnt umber's pretty good just for kind of dirtying up the rocks a little bit, because they do kind of stand out just because they're so clean on what we've basically got a mucky forest floor or forest clearing floor. access off. So what I'm going to do here is I'm flattening a part of it, making almost like a little gully, little gutter. I'll show you why in a minute. I'm going to use a little bit of AKA puddles. So these are acrylic puddles. This is like a kind of dirty puddle that I'm going to put just in this little gap. So if you have big open areas, you can actually, or if you plan your model from the start, just like you would plan painting your model at the start. A lot of people don't plan bases like I haven't just now, but then plan like having like a little gully or something in it, a little gulch, or just a puddle. I'm going to put this in just to add a bit of depth. Just going to pop the bubbles that have appeared. And let's just have a little bit Chico out the front. What I need to do is push. Use just a smaller brush here. Just to make it a bit more interesting, since this is my leader model and all. Hanging over. Be gone, leaf. I need to be careful with this bit of the base because it seems like just if I touch this little bit, the whole thing moves, so it's almost like it's not glued down properly. So there you go, it almost looks like there's just a little bit of water kinda. I've not gone overboard with it. Just enough that it's kind of sank into the mud and just gives it a little, almost like there's a little stream or whatever there, or a little trickle of water running down just where he's running. I'm really happy with that. I like that. Looks good. Once it dries in a little bit, what I'll do is I'll go round the edge again. It's just Abaddon black, that round the edge. Although you could use a brown. If you want something different to make models, maybe even if I wanted to use Steel Legion drab across all the models just to give them like a nice little pillar. I might do that. I'll do that. So I'm going to give him 10 minutes or so to dry off, and then we'll finish him off. But we'll start working on some of the other models we've done. So we'll start with putting on put these to the side. We don't need these at the moment. He can stay there, because that's what we're working towards. Made a mess of my nice mat, but that's fine. That's what it's there for. If it made a mess of my nice desk, I'd be getting a divorce. Let's get the excess off. For this grassy stuff. I'm pretty much just going to follow the same sort of thing as I did in the first guy. Maybe a couple of patches of leaves, and a couple of rocks. I think I have any more exciting tree trunks like the first one, but that's okay. Use a bit of the natural leaf. Just trying to where I had a bit of extra PVA. Puddle in front of him here. I'll put our tufts in first. The pigments are very messy. I think basing's bad. Once you use the pigments, they make a mess everywhere. What you can do is, if you do want to add a bit more of the water effect and stuff as well, you can just, once it has had a wee bit to dry, you can go back and add a bit more as well. Sword just broke off. That'll go back on. Let's do this last one on the stream. And I can continue the rest after. So I'm going to start this time, before I put all the leaves and stuff in, let's start making like a little river, so, or pond or whatever. So I'll put a little, just a couple of little puddles. So let's put one just here. Make a little indent. A little one here. Let's try starting with the water. Try a bit more. The other two have got quite a lot of stuff on it, so we could try a bit more minimal on this one. Let's try a bit different as well. Try just a couple of these little, couple of tufts, a couple of rocks, and a couple of these little shrub things. Let's try that. I do like these leaves. Once they've got the pigment on them, it looks really good. So I want to put a few of these with leaves on. I'm just going to let these, so most of these will fall back off, but there'll be a couple in the little river bit that we've done. I can add more pigment and it will look like those leaves falling in the river. That's what we want. Okay. On there, so I'm just trying to move it so it doesn't come off the edge. This is almost like kind of sponge, this stuff here. Makes it look like just a little shrubbery. So everyone needs a bit of shrubbery in their life. Just put a bit off. Not got on. That'll do me. Just put a little bit around just this river edge. Just to kind of frame that little puddle a bit. Super glue on my finger, and if you get super glue on your finger, everything sticks to that before anything else. And then I'll hit it with the pigments. And I'm going to add a little bit more puddle though. And I've kind of left this bit muddy, but not put lots of obstacles in front of it, because that's obviously where he's chose to walk, so that's obviously going to be the clearest path for him if he's walking that way. I mean, if you've got big rocks either side of them, he's obviously going to walk in the middle of it. Not that it matters too much. He's walking in between the two bits, but I mean the other guy's just wading through mud, isn't he? He's just wading into it. Okay, let's get some pigments on this one. I like the old rust pigment because that kind of ties the base to the skin tone. It's good just having those little tiny nods from one part of the model to the next. Really makes it feel more cohesive. If you had all your bases on, like different bases on different guys in the same army, it wouldn't look like they're all from the same army. And the other end of that scale is if you've got like just little kind of subtle tones throughout the model to the base, people will notice it subconsciously. The reason that they really like the eye likes contrast, they'll subconsciously pick up just these wee things that just make the model look better, in my opinion. Okay, excess off, and then a bit of burnt umber. I'm quite happy to call it there. So we've kind of got an idea of what the bases that we're looking for. What I would do if you've ever put pigment on a model is seal it. So what I mean by that is, like, Games Workshop has the purity seal, but you can get things like airbrush like Vallejo, matte coat, satin coat, gloss coat, lots of different types of things, and that's just basically, well, that's in the name, a coat that goes over the whole model, including the model itself, that protects it, so that seals everything in. So what I use is, I've got one here, I should do somewhere. The label's kind of thingy, but it's Tester's dull spray liquor, so it's dull coat basically it's called, and this pretty much sprays everything, kind of mutes the model down if it's got any really glossy bits that maybe have been in the washes, like Newland wash, or just any of the kind of glossy parts of the model. That brings it right down, and it makes the model look really good. So what I'll do is I'll give this a little spray just now. I'll just do it out my window. Spray these. In fact, I might need to wait for the resin to dry a wee bit more. What I'll do is I'll glue this guy's sword back on, and then I'll do that. I'll also tidy up a bit. Let me know if you've got any questions, or if you've got, if you're wanting any ideas about how to do a base for a specific type of army. Because I've done quite a lot of different types. I've done like, I had the kind of Mars type base bases, which was like the sector base with the like the kind of metal bottoms, roads and stuff for my Ultramarines, but then it had like kind of that pigment and some of the Mars Kraken paint. I can't remember what that one was called. And the reason I had that red in is because it's really good contrast against the blue of the Ultramarines. In fact, I think I've still got some. I'll show you what I mean. So these are very basic bases, but they don't need to be anything fancy. These are kind of rushed together because I think I've done hundreds of these bases at once, because I had all my Ultramarines on normal bases and then I bought these ones, and but yeah, it's literally just a bit of red and the metal. You can see I've weathered the feet a little bit as well because they're a bit manky, but that red works really well with the rest of the blue. Also went for the red and the blue, so there's lots of, so that's my Ultramarines. And what I'll do as well is I can show you the, let me get my tanks out the cupboard. I'll have the lid on it, but it's in a separate box. But you can see like the kind of how I use some of that pigment on the bottom of my rhinos. So this was basically airbrushed. The blue was airbrushed, and then everything else painted on top of it. Airbrushing with a tank makes your life so much easier. Just got wee bits of battle damage, like a little Tyrannid claws hit the back of it. So yeah, like the pigments have lots of different uses, and you'll find that when you're using different paints and stuff, that sometimes using them outside the way that they were intended, you can get really nice results. Let's glue this sword back on. I think this is the third time I've glued this sword. And it's just too thin to pin, unfortunately. Too thin to pin. But luckily the hilt of the sword touches the cape, so that's like 2 points of contact rather than just the one. Sight glue's good. But let me know what you think of the bases. I really like them. You could add more stones, you could add like different types of, basically once like that coconut fibre just gave an amazing base to then do whatever you wanted on it, because it was just a very natural, well, it was natural mud, wasn't it? So that's kind of like a soil almost with coconut fibre through it. But yeah, like once that was done, you could pretty much put whatever you wanted on it, whether you wanted to go more tufts, more the kind of natural. You could probably put some static grass over it as well. I think actually like static grass over the top of that mud would look really good, rather than just like a lot of people put the static grass straight onto the plastic. It's building up those wee layers, maybe having like little bits where you put, if you want, even if you wanted the full thing static grass, like maybe have wee patches where the grass hasn't grown, or you can get like burnt static grass as well, mix it in where maybe like a bolter shot has hit the ground or something like that and it's burned the thing. So it's just like those little details in your bases that kinda tell a story. They make a big difference. But I'm really happy with that, and I think I'll build a massive, I'll use the cork board, and there'll be a lot more raised rocks and stuff for my bigger models, just to really fill out that board, because I might even make like having like this at maybe different sides of the model, and then have like a river running through the middle, just because it will need to be more interesting because it's a bit of a smaller model on a massive base. But I think I'll probably do that next stream. Tomorrow I will basically be doing the same, but doing it with the bigger bases, and we're basically building mini dioramas, but not really a diorama, just more building interesting bases, really, using these techniques here and using these items that I've got here. So, but yeah, thanks very much for tuning in. Happy hobbying.